Hello, 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 and welcome to the Coaching Life podcast. Today's guest started life in what she describes as humble beginnings in Argentina, moved to Spain at the age of 9, where she built a very successful career as a model, actress, and TV host. She was Miss Spain in 1999, has worked in Hollywood. I don't think there's any stranger to fame and is familiar with celebrity lifestyle. She's also a mother of 3 children and wife to, yeah, an incredibly successful English Premier League manager. And she's here today with all of that experience to also talk about her work and life as a coach. And since I've just read her debut self-help book, I love that description, by the way, self-help book. It starts with you. I'm excited to explore with her and expand on some of the topics she talks about in that book. So we'll come to that a little later. But first, Lorena Bernal, a huge welcome to the Coach and Life podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to come to like your coaching story soon. I generally ask people, when they first came across coaching and stuff like that. But there's a thing that jumped out for me, and I think it's probably this piece because whoever I coach, and I coach people from all walks of life, including people that I guess we describe as having a public profile, we invariably end up talking about parenthood in some form or another. Like there's real juice of life in that. I'm wondering, like, just even in that introduction, you moved from Argentina to Spain age 9, which like smack bang in the middle of childhood.
At
I wonder
one,
what's
actually.
at what, sorry?
At one. One. I was one when I moved to
You're
Spain.
1. Oh, well, that kind of
Yes.
blows my question out of the window because I kind of wonder what I was going to ask you what jumps out memory wise, because there was a natural assumption there that if you'd moved age 9, I don't know where I got that from then, that you would have some memories of Argentina. Did you spend any of your childhood in Argentina?
I mean, to be honest, I moved the first time when I was one from Argentina to Spain. But since then, I've been moving all the time, houses, countries, cities.
Hmm.
So,
Mm.
as your question makes sense. Memories from Argentina, I have a lot because the first 10 years of when I moved to Spain, we didn't go back to Argentina, but we left all the family there, all the cousins, uncles, aunties, grandparents, everyone stayed in Argentina. And we had a very close relationship by letter and by phone. And at my house, my mom, my dad, and my grandma and my granddad, the one who moved with us, kept the memory and the feeling and the sensation of Argentina at home. So we were in Spain in the Basque Country, which is the culture is a little different than the rest of Spain. And I was attending a French school with a French culture. But at home, it was Argentina. We would eat Argentinian food, our habits, the accent of my family, their friends. We supported the Argentina national team in football. So I have a lot in my heart, in my soul, in my upbringing of the country I was born in. And I still have a lot of family. Since I started to go back when I was 10, 11, I went back every 2 years, 3 years, sometimes a couple of times in a year. I feel very attached to my home.
'Cause I guess what I'm wondering, I don't know whether we can ever really know, because of course you don't know an alternative to the life that you've lived. But I wonder what role that will have played in your career, in your modeling and acting, and indeed your entrepreneurial career of having had that, having had, Argentina as a home and living in Spain.
I think it played a huge role, like obviously oral childhoods play a huge role in who we become and as a person or as a in our profession or how we see life. In my case, since I was raised in a mix of cultures, at the same time integrating each other. I had to fit in a different culture where I was growing up. I was absorbing different cultures from the French system and Spain and Argentina. And so it opened from a very early age my mind into being a human being of the world. Um, I saw every person, every human being as a human being, like as the same kind of me. Because I wasn't from anywhere in particular, so I was from kind of the world. So my mind was very open to languages, cultures, different ways of living, different ways of seeing life, different also, how do you say, no habits, I can't find the word, but different ways of living. I was very curious and very and integrating all the cultures I had around me. And then when I started moving everywhere and living in different countries, that helped me a lot because I never felt a foreigner wherever I was, but I never felt from one place either. Um, so yeah, it definitely shaped me and the way I
Yeah.
see people. Yeah.
So when I talk about, and this is another thing that jumped out really about reading your book, is how most of us in this line of work are pretty much pointing out the same things, pointing in the same direction. The fact there's an essence to us that's true. I describe something that I call just the structure of the self, where I think we arrived here as what I describe as a true unconditioned self. So we have this spiritual aspect and this unconditioned self that when we arrive as a baby, and then right from the off, we start to develop a conditioned self, and then an imagined self and a presented self. Just really conceptual layers. But considering that model, was there a point that you do you think you became aware that yes, there is a conditioned self at play here in yourself and certainly within people that you were meeting?
I would say I started very early to notice that because wherever I went, I had to present myself as the person I chose. So when I was with, I don't know, let's say Argentinians, I would present myself as one of them, right? Argentinian, the food, the culture, da, da, da. When I was with my friends, they had no idea about what Argentina is or that culture. So I would present myself with the side of me that would connect with them. When then I moved to France to a boarding school, the people I met there, they had no idea about what Spain is or Argentina or so I had to present myself in another way. And all the ways I presented myself were me, but I chose what to show, what to say. And at the same time, I was kind of not hiding, but not presenting a lot of myself. So at the same time that I was meeting a lot of people and a lot of the world, I was developing a huge inner world that I couldn't share because you share little bits with depending on the people you are or the context or the environment you are with. So I became aware very early of this is me inside, but I only present little bits. Um, and at the same time, I was increasing my inner world, inner conversation with myself, inner observations about the world that I could only share with myself because I was the only one really understanding all the mixes I was witnessing. Um, so yeah, it was something that I noticed very early. I think if you grow up in the same place with people exactly like you, with some cultural rules or description very fixed, you kind of it's easier to get lost in that description of yourself and not developing an inner world because you present yourself as the others and it's just that. So the discovering of yourself can come maybe later when you move out from that safe space that is the only one you know, and you see that there is a world and people that are completely different. So in that moment, you can start developing an inner world. But for me, it started very early.
That makes complete sense as well, I guess, the move into acting and the benefits, like just the awareness that you describe, having that awareness of an inner world and the different aspects of ourselves that we present in different situations, in different cultures, must have been incredibly helpful in your acting career.
Yes, the acting, there is I see two areas in my acting career. One is the artist stage cameras that I always liked since I was very little. I loved performing, singing, dancing. I was very creative and expressive. Um, but at the same time, the acting gave me the opportunity of doing work with another person that I would perform and analyze it and and integrate that person that didn't exist and bring it up to life and integrate it in me. And normally, I don't know, when you play the bad guy, you need to understand where that person comes from, why she is killing people or things like that. So that digging into the character, as I had a more opened view of human beings, it was very interesting for me to kind of dig into every layer of the character. So the character could say a sentence, but if there is a lot of layers, there are a lot of layers in between that sentence, it becomes a completely different sentence when you say it. So it was very fun, a lot of fun for me to do that work with the characters.
Well, you said in your book that you're a passionate student of human emotions, philosophy, and spirituality, and yeah, your dream is to bring what you've learned about happiness, love, and life through all your experiences and studies to more people, essentially to help people honor the person they are as a whole. And that I have to say that really touched me because it just feels so in alignment. I don't think there's any greater gift that we can help somebody bring to themselves and really getting to know themselves. So yeah, I'll go back to what's been my default opening question on this podcast for quite a while, and so I'm wondering, when did you first come across coaching? When were you first exposed to coaching? And when did coaching become something that either you want to do or perhaps called yourself doing?
Um, I mean, the observation of emotions was born with me when I was born. Like it has always been in me. Observation, curiosity for emotions. I don't know. I remember when I would cry when I was a kid, I was crying for whatever reason, and I would go to the mirror and observe myself crying, like how I was moving, how my face, or if I had tears. So instead of feeling sad or whatever I was feeling, I was observing how I was expressing that. Um, at the same time was my curiosity for emotions and my curiosity for acting. How will I act when I had to cry? No, so I was very observing of emotions. or my parents were fighting and I was like looking at them through like a little corner. And instead of being sad, my parents are fighting, I was observing them, how they were interacting. So as I observed since a very early age, I knew a certain things that other children next to me wouldn't know. So I would try always to explain to them, no, but you're feeling this because of this. No, he's saying he likes you, but in reality, and I would explain it in a very kind of teaching kind of way. That brought me a lot of problems with my friends because they would say, "Do you think you know everything?" Or like, "What do you know?" Right? You are the same age as me. So it was in my nature to try to help them to regulate their emotions and to understand their emotions, but I had to hold back. As I grew up, I understood that people don't like to be taught about what to do with their emotions, right? So it was in my nature to kind of coach them, but I started to stop it. Uh, so I would only do with the ones, eventually, with the ones who came to me asking me, okay, how do you see what I'm going through? And then I would give them my opinion. No? But as a friend or as a close person. And then later in my life, when I had a little bit more time because I had to pause my career as an artist or as an actress because I had my kids and we moved. Um, I said maybe now I'm ready to actually officially uh, help people to live their emotions and to embrace them and to realize that they're just emotions. It's not really who they are. No, like my main goal is to bring people to their hearts and remove them from their brains, from their minds, from the logic. So since I got the certificates, the diplomas, because I really felt I needed them in order to have some kind of I don't know how do you say like a voice, like a proper
Yeah.
voice. Then I started coaching officially, and I loved it. Um, and then well where do I stop? And then is when I started my company Live Love Better to coach more in to groups or to companies or to schools or like to families to open up a little bit to more people because the one-on-one coaching felt a little short for what I wanted. So that's why I started my company, Live Love Better, in order to try to reach more people.
So, what would you say to anyone that's listening to this that, uh, like you and indeed me, has allowed themselves to live in alignment with that true self-desire? Like I believe that we arrive here with some innate desires, preferences, and talents, and of course we can develop all of those as well. But ultimately, like I've shared this on this podcast before. Many years ago now, a coach asked me, one of my coaches asked me, Phil, why do you like broccoli? Oh, well, I could tell you why, like it's healthy, I guess, but of course I know people that don't like broccoli and they know it's healthy, so I don't know why I like broccoli. And her point was exactly like we arrive here with some innate preferences, desires, and talents. And to me, the real juice of life is reconnecting with those. And sometimes we have to sort through all of the rubbish that we've developed and picked up, all of that conditioning that we've picked up to really get in touch with what we might describe as who we truly are, our true unconditioned self. So, what would you say to somebody who's listening to this that recognize that yearning within them, that has to just be a practical question or not, but has that yearning, yeah, to help people connect with that aspect of themselves and to live a happier life, a more loving and happier life, and want to do that in groups?
In groups.
Mm,
Um, I mean, I think where do I start? I think when we're born, as you say, we are born with an essence that is imprinted in us. Maybe is the DNA, maybe is the soul. I don't know. I mean, I have my opinion, but we
yeah.
don't know,
Mm,
right?
mm,
We are born with an essence. And the personality we develop is based on what we are taught. Like no one can deny that. No, we are taught from like our parents, our environment is not the same to grow up in New York in the city or to grow up in the savannah in Africa. Like I don't know, you grow up in your environment with your people and you develop your language, your culture, your way of seeing life. And the more you learn all that, the less you remember that essence because you don't
mhm,
get to
mhm,
put that essence on your daily life because you need to follow the human rules that the society you're growing up set for you. So you cannot jump, scream, ask questions, be noisy, move all the time. Like they teach you how to be. So you develop a persona, an identity. So the good thing about human beings is that we are able to acknowledge that if we look if we change the camera from to the outside world to the inner world, we can see that. Other beings in nature don't have that capacity of self-awareness and to be able to notice who they are or what they are or where they are, but we have that capacity. So I always say there's nothing wrong about developing a persona. That's how we are meant to grow. But since we have the capacity of being self-conscious, if you look at yourself and you kind of try to identify, okay, where is my essence and where is everything I had to learn in order to adapt to the world I was raised in? Where is that difference? There's nothing wrong about either, but be aware that there are two. Very, very, very few people are able to grow up in their essence. Like normally parents don't allow the child to just be. They tell them what to eat, what is healthy, when to move, when to sleep, how to dress. I don't know. We are taught, everything is taught. Um, So I think happiness is about recognizing your essence. And the more you connect to that essence and the more you can live from that essence, the more authentic you will feel, the more free you will feel, and the more yourself, and the more you will recognize your inner talents, your inner calls. So the more you kind of detach from the persona you had to build and the more you connect with your essence, the happier you will be. For me, that is happiness. So what I normally try to do when I coach people is the first thing is to realize that there are two kind of yous in you. That's why the book actually it's called It Starts With
it
You.
starts
Like
with you.
first of all, recognize this. Because if you don't recognize this, everything you work on, parenting or be the best leader or whatever you work on, you won't be working on it from your essence. You will be working on it from a constructed, logical, and learned person. So it won't really connect to like when you're, I don't know, if you want to be the best mom ever and you learn, you read a lot of books about parenting and you know what questions you need to ask your kids and what you need to feed them and how you need to spend time with them. But you're doing from your mind, from knowing that this is the right thing to do instead of from your heart, because this is what really your soul, your heart is calling you to do, then the result won't be as effective or authentic as it could be. So the first step is that recognizing that there are two yous in you. And then the second step would be, okay, how do I connect with myself? And the sooner the better, because the sooner you do this, the better rest of your life you will have, you and the people around you.
Yeah, beautiful. Lorena, the opening of your book, I was actually quite moved, like from the off, because you talk about imagining our time here as a holiday, our time here on Earth, in like this most beautiful resort called Earth, and even just that idea, I noticed some emotion stirring in me with that analogy. It's just really beautiful. Um, yeah, when you talk about we've been giving the gift of life on this beautiful planet, um, how we arrive, as you're describing, as pure innocent bundles of love and curiosity and excitement for this experience here. And then, yes, of course, like from day one, the parenting conditioning kicks in that we're subjected to, and schooling conditioning and societal conditioning, and what have you. So, of course, life doesn't always feel like a gift. I wonder if you're willing to share any times in your life that it's been difficult to connect with life being a gift.
Um, in my personal experience, I didn't have many moments like that. I've always been very, like, I've never taken my life for granted. I was very appreciative of everything and I was very excited for everything. And also, I had a lot of new things constantly, new country, new house, new friends, new city, new, like everything was new, almost constantly in my life. Um, so I was a very excited person about life. So I had very bad moments. Like I had a lot of success in my life, but I had a lot of like what would be considered, sorry, bad moments. I don't like to label those moments as bad because every kind of bad moment has brought me so much
Yeah,
of understanding, of I don't know. I think one of the worst things that can happen to us is that a loving one of our loved ones passing, right? Like a death of a very close person is like I think is the worst that can happen
yeah,
to you.
yeah,
Um, so even that brings a collateral love which is immense around you and how you feel the love for that person that just passed. um I don't know, and I always speak from having been in a lot of stages of life. I've been poor and I've been in money. I've been in, I don't know, around toxic love, and I've been around beautiful, unconditional love. So it's not, I'm not talking from only having experienced one side of life. I've experienced a lot of opposites
yeah,
in life. Um, and no matter where I was, I always observed, I learned, I I always had this feeling of, okay, but what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst? Well, I don't know. You die. And then that's it, over. Like you don't suffer anymore. Or I don't know. I always had some people would call me a positive person, but it's not positive. I was very realistic in what I say in my book. This is a gift. Like no matter your experience, it's an adventure. It can be, as I say in my book as well, a horrible, intense roller coaster, or it can be a beautiful, calm river. But it's just one ride. And and I think that if your ride is intense and what could seem difficult, it's because you are ready to go on that. I have that trust of, like, in some way, we choose what roller coaster to ride. So I always had that trust. And that was me. Obviously, I wasn't aware of that when I was a kid or when I was young. And um, I was exposed, I don't know, to a lot of what would be difficult things. I was exposed to fame since I was very young, to critics, pressure, traveling, being alone a lot in hotels when I was working, or I don't know, a lot of difficulties. But um, but inside of me, I always had that calm because I trusted that I was what I had to be. And I enjoyed every moment because I never knew how long the moment would last. Even the bad times, like, which is now that I, not now, but when in my adult life that I started to kind of observe or learn from how I saw life in a natural way, organic way, without wanting to see life like that. That's how I saw life. So I had inquired a lot about myself. Okay, what made me see life like this? Why I didn't suffer when I was supposed to suffer with the things that had happened to me. And I understood that I always had trust, and that is what um, at some point I wanted to share, because I think it's an amazing thing to have, because if you have that trust, no matter where you are, good, bad, whatever, you will be not enjoying, but yes, like embracing the your life. If you're not in that trust, it's not about having a good life or a bad life. You won't be happy, even if you have all the success, all the money, all the beauty, everything. You won't enjoy it. You won't be happy. So it's not about, no, it's easy to say enjoy your life when you have a beautiful life. No, no, if you don't enjoy your life and you don't have that trust inside of you, you won't enjoy your life, no matter the life you have.
Yeah. Yeah. It appears to me that you bring an extraordinary level of awareness actually to your experience of life and have been doing that all your life. Just this level of awareness of what it is to be human and seeing the gifts in all of the contrast of life.
Yes, because at the end of the day, as I say in my book, even in the worst loopings in that roller coaster, if you trust, you can even enjoy that adrenaline, that rush, that suffering, because you're trusting that you're safe, and you know there's just one ride, and when the ride is over, it's over. So it's not worth it to swim in the in the pain or in the negativity is not worth it. You're kind of wasting jewels of
Mm.
moment.
Mm.
So there are ways of finding help to realize this, because when you are in the dark space, is really hard to see the light. Um, but when you want to, life presents you like the right people or the right signs for you to grab on it and work towards the light. That's a fact. So it's just about wanting and saying, okay, I trust that I'm in this bad situation because something, I don't know why, maybe I need to learn, maybe I needed to get into this dark place to realize what light is. I don't know the reason, but maybe I'm here because of a reason. So let me find help, and let me find help to see it as a jewel and embrace it. If we all did that, I mean, how life will be, right? For
Right.
everyone.
Yeah. 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 I mean, an analogy I'll use is that we can choose the genre through which we look at life, and we can look at it as a horror movie. I like to look at mine. My favorite genre is probably, sitcoms or romantic comedies. Sometimes it's been a tragic romantic comedy, but yeah, I think we do get to choose the lens, the genre through which we're looking at life. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
So I just want to acknowledge the book, by the way, you said is primarily aimed at women. Um, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I'm wondering, how was the journey of writing the book for you?
First of all, it is for women because the message is for everyone, no matter who you are or what you are. But when I was writing it, it's a very um, kind of a superficial choice that I had to make, because I was writing it in Spanish originally, and in Spanish words have gender, right? Like if I want to write "you feel alone," I have to choose if I direct the alone to feminine or masculine, no? Solo or sola. So I felt that if I picked one, it wouldn't resonate with the other one. And I wanted to speak directly to the person. I didn't want to speak in general concepts. I wanted to speak to the reader. So I had to pick, okay, who am I going to speak to? So I take that gender in the words
Mhm.
I write. And I picked women for many reasons. One is because I'm a woman, and I said, okay, let's go for women. Two, because women normally raise babies and children more, especially in the early ages. And even if you're raising a boy, a man, a future man, I think that woman needs to be in the right place in order to try to do the best for that little baby that will become an adult. So if I help women first, maybe I'm helping more people after that. So I picked women. Um, and what was the other
I was just wondering how
question
the
you
journey
said?
of actually writing the book, how was that for you?
Journey. It was a very short journey, I have to say. I always wanted to write, always. And I always wrote, actually, poems and love letters. I loved writing. And I always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know about what or what I would start with, because I had a lot of things I wanted to share, or maybe not necessarily to share, but to put on paper without aiming for other people to read what I was writing necessarily. But I got to a point like 4 or 5 years ago where I said, okay, I'm gonna write. and let's see where this goes. So I picked the topic, I picked who I was writing for, and I said, okay, I'm going to write. And it was quite a short period. Like maybe I wrote the book in about 20 days, 25 days. I never reread it or edited it. I kept it in my computer until 4 years later that I felt ready to share what I wrote. And then I started the whole process of, okay, how do I publish this? How do I bring this book to life? And that process took maybe a year of course, rereading it, editing it, and all the process of getting to where we are now.
And now she's out there. Wonderful,
Mm.
wonderful. You say in your book, you want women to discover their main power resides within themselves. Fundamental message in the book. In the love they're able to manifest and share by doing whatever they decide to do from a place of fulfillment and wholeness. Do you see where that's played out in your career?
Yes. Um, Again, my career has been for me and how I see it, beautiful. I
Mm.
enjoyed a lot. I worked a lot and always in what I wanted. Not always easy, but I got there and I didn't have fear. I didn't have pressure to show anyone what I was capable of, or I didn't seek validation. I My career was only because I wanted to express and I wanted to enjoy and have fun. And so that's why when I write about doing things from love and from being whole and from being fulfilled, it's because I saw that if you do things from there, you you're okay. Like you're not scared because if you try something and it doesn't work, it's okay. It won't shatter you. You tried, you fail. It wasn't meant for you, or you're not maybe good enough at this, but it's okay. But if that looking for being good enough or that looking for success comes from a place of, I need that in order to be fulfilled, or I have emptiness inside of me that needs to be filled up, I will put so much weight into achieving that success that just the process of trying to achieve it won't be enjoyable because you're going to be scared all the time of failure because you will call failure not achieving it. And even when you achieve it, you will be scared of losing it. So you won't enjoy even if you reach whatever you want to reach. That's why I say that if you get to start to look for things from being whole and being full, that's when you enjoy. No matter what you go for. Like some people are meant to thrive for huge, amazing, high-end stuff and things, and some other just want to have a nice, quiet, um, silent, in a village, I don't know, life. And no matter what you're meant to look for, try to look for it from knowing that who you are, that you are enough, that you are amazing, that you are here just for one life, just one, and all those things that I try to share with people. No? That's the reason.
It, I think again there were so many things that jumped down that I just felt like, oh yeah, on the nail for me. And I'm fascinated as well how we can be describing again the same thing, just in different words, different language. For me, I'll often invite clients to look at whatever strategy they're employing to compensate for a perceived inadequacy. So if I'm doing something to compensate for my perceived inadequacy, invariably it strengthens the perception of the inadequacy. Like I'm giving myself evidence that I need to do this because I'm lacking in this respect. And that is one of the dangers of us seeking any kind of validation outside of ourselves. We're actually strengthening that perception of that inadequacy. So that was one thing that really jumped out, and you described it again beautifully in another way. Something else you spoke about in your book, you speak about acceptance and a felt peace, where you talk about the absence of resistance. You actually use those words. I noted those down. The absence of resistance, which again for me is right on the nail because, gosh, people have been exploring the inquiry. You know, what is love? I don't know if we can ever describe actually what is love. We can certainly describe attributes, perhaps, of love. And so, for me, it seems to me that love's what arises in the absence of resistance. And I think one of the biggest misunderstandings, certainly about love that I use and the language that I use, I just I'm not. I suggest I'm not talking about pizza love, as in I love pepperoni pizza or what have you with extra olives, as in I love it. I want more of it in my life. I'm just really talking about love is a feeling that is in all of us when we're not resisting, when we're just really present to what's going on without resisting. Does that
Ye-
feel
Yes,
to where you're going? Yeah.
I think love is really who we are. Like is a state of being, is our authentic being, is love. And I know it sounds like woo woo or whatever, but if we compare ourselves with, I don't know, trees, like we are in the same build with the same elements, like trees, okay? But the tree doesn't have the capacity of self-awareness as human had. And a tree just is, right? It is. It grows, it does its thing. Um, and it's love. Like that being, I mean by love, because you're doing what you are meant to do without doing it in terms of actioning it. You are just being. You're letting all your power do its thing. In this case of the tree, you give shade, you give oxygen, you give a nest for the birds. You do your thing. You do your essence. What humans have that trees don't have is that mind, that thinking mind that is able to observe itself and judge itself and put labels on itself and on the environment. So we are, and the brain, that brain is wired to grow all the time, to keep us safe, to understand, to find logic, to be better, to so if you let your life go from that thinking mind, you will never be able to feel love, the real one, because that real love would be if we would erase our minds from ourselves, that we would be just us, which is love. So obviously it's impossible to remove our minds. But if we know this and we kind of understand this, we can try to live our lives from that being love. instead of from trying to get better at everything constantly or try to achieve, chasing things, judging things as bad, good. We would just embrace, accept, and be the tree we are meant to be, a bonsai or an oak tree or a, I don't know, whatever tree we are, we are. So from that view comes the acceptance, the love. And when you are there, you just love people, love life, love who you are, love the essence. So love becomes a completely different concept. Obviously, then you need to find a partner, and you have your family, and that love is kind of a consequence of accepting them, liking them, wanting to share your life with them. But it's not really love. Like that relationships dynamics, they are not really about the proper essence of love. If we could get to be love, we still would find a partner or whatever, but it wouldn't be chasing love. It would be enjoying the ride with a person that we love, I mean, we like, and we enjoy with them, and we have similarities in the way we see life and the way we want to ride this ride. And then you connect from a different place. But it's not about, I love you, then I'm going to marry you. It's so the whole concept, I mean, I could be hours trying to explain it, and maybe I wouldn't achieve what I want to explain, but the whole concept of love is, I think, is misunderstood.
Again, I think we've been trying to describe it for millennia. And in essence, there you go, my language. In essence, it's something that we experience in the absence of resistance. Like, what does that like? What's that like? And one of my favorite questions as well is to invite people to consider. Yeah, this fits into this part of our conversation. What's it like to consider? What's it like to be you when you're not trying to be somebody? Just to notice who arises there.
It's freedom, is joy,
Yeah.
is peace, because you're not trying to do, to get, to achieve, to chase. You just are. And so everything you do them from a pool, from a call, from a passion, from your authenticity. So some people are more drawn to certain kind of things, some others to others. Um, I also put the metaphor of animals, no? Like we are all a different kind of animal, and it's not the same to be an ant than to be a koala, than to be a tiger. So when you find your essence, then you don't try to be something you're not, and you don't compare what you do. Like if you are an ant, you're not comparing to someone that is a tiger that is achieving da 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 and is so fast and so strong. I wish I was like that, because you have accepted that you are an ant. So with human beings, I think we are all different, and the world needs all of us. Like if the world would only have ants, that would be a mess, or only tigers, or only mosquitoes, but we need the mosquitoes too. So if you are a mosquito, be the best mosquito and the most authentic one. Um, so I explain it like that. The moment
Yeah.
you realize you can be, you allow yourself to just be who you are without trying to be someone else, without comparing your achievements or your doing with no one else, then you are free to be authentic and to live your life and to bring to the table what you bring to the table, which is, I'm sure, a lot. And we all need you with what you bring. We don't need to be all successful, rich, young, whatever. And it looks like society now they are telling us that if you're not those things, you're not enough or you're not good enough. So it's like everyone is chasing the same things. We need the variety in their authentic self.
Beautiful. Another thing in your book, you talk about the game of life, um, and how, yeah, by upgrading, I think you describe it as upgrading our level of understanding through our discomfort, that we we come to experience life in a different way, in a more loving way, which is again much more in alignment with the kind of work that I'm in. There's a question that you suggested in there that I really loved, which was, where am I within all that is happening to me? Could you expand on that? Perhaps give us some listeners a sneak preview of what's in the book in this respect.
Okay, that analogy is to try to resonate with people that are not happy in their lives and they are resenting their lives and they cannot find a way of getting out of that pain or that suffering. Um, so to those people, you cannot go and say, just be love and embrace
Hmm.
life. It won't resonate with them because they are in pain. They are going through a difficult moment of their lives, a difficult season. So with that analogy, which is very simple, I just try to give them a glimpse, a little window to realize that the suffering they're going through comes from what they expect from the moment they're going through. Like if you are, I don't know, you have an illness or you don't have money and what you expect in order to be happy is to be healthy or to have money because that is what a happy life looks like for you, then you will see your situation as a pain. So I'm trying for them to see, okay, who is seeing that as a pain? Who is expecting that? Is it really you, or is it your brain that has an ideal of this is how a happy life should look and put expectations for you to feel you are not there or you are in a bad situation? So I try to guide them through that. And at the same time, I think for some people, it's just a matter of needing to go through that process of pain in order to learn who they are, how to not be in pain, like to know the opposites, no? And when you go through that in victorious, then the next level kind of comes and I'm sure you will have another challenge and another difficulty, but you already have the tools from the level before in order to keep digging with the same objective, which is recognizing where you are inside of you and what is your mind inside of you and where it is. So you can have the control of those expectations and of those comparisons and of that thinking. Because, I mean, it's really easy to say, but it's not easy. I'm sure if someone that is in a bad situation is hearing this, normally we feel we're not able to
Right. Right.
we are stuck. So I wrote the book to maybe plant a seed, to do
Yeah.
my bit of help, because I am seeing it from the other side of the dark tunnel, and I know what is in the other side, and I know the light you can get to. So I'm just encouraging people to try to maybe look at it from a different perspective, so it can maybe open a new way of seeing it and go through it in order to get to the light of that darkness you're going through.
Yeah, this relates actually two things here. There's one I actually shared this on my social media. I don't know, yesterday or the day before, perhaps, a story of because I'll often see spiritual teachers or coaches suggesting, well, you can think anything and therefore you can experience anything, which, whilst technically correct, I feel it lacks context and the compassion that you so beautifully display by acknowledging that that's not always possible to connect with that. The example that I gave actually was an analogy. Was as a teenager, so I'm talking, I worked out it's about 38 years ago. Me and a couple of friends, my girlfriend at the time, I drove my car out of that teenage curiosity. I drove my car onto a beach, and it was a nudist beach, and the car got stuck in the sand. Now, technically, that car was capable, and indeed, I did drive that car right up to the very northern tip of Scotland, John O'Groats, and then down to the southern tip, South Land's End, later that summer. But in that moment, when we were stuck on the beach, it couldn't go anywhere. There was work to do. We had to get that car unstuck. Even though, yes, technically the car could be driven anywhere, and the same that we're capable of having any experience, but when you're stuck, and there's very often work to be done in that. Also, you touch on there's an analogy I used, which also feels quite appropriate to mention and share with you, given your husband is a Premier League football manager. I use an analogy of inviting people to consider a successful Premier League football manager. Invariably, yes, they may leave to their own accord, or they may get fired. And that's just a fact of life. That's a fact of that life, that, no football manager stays at a club forever. And I'm guessing there has to be an inner knowing that whatever happens here, I'm okay. But because of that, it's not that we become detached from what's happening on the pitch and in the games. There's a freedom in knowing, whatever happens, that one day I'm probably going to get fired here. That's just a fact. There's a freedom in that we can then allow ourselves to be fully immersed in it and to really care about the result and allow our passions to arise and what have you. So essentially, we can really allow ourselves to be immersed in the game, and indeed in the game of life, knowing that at some point, yeah, that's going to come to an end.
Yes, I mean, I am in this case the wife of a Premier League manager. And I've been with this person for 22 years. And in many moments of our lives, we have had to pack everything and move to a different place in a day without expecting it. So, as the wife and the mom of the kids of a person in this case, that yes, they could be fired from their job anytime, right? But I
I think
always
it's
say,
unlikely at the moment, by the way. I'll just add
I
that
don't
in.
know.
But
I don't know. And I never go there. Honestly,
yeah, yeah.
I know I have an awareness in my daily life that I don't know how long we will be living in London. I have no clue. But that doesn't make me not finding roots for my children, for example.
Mm,
I act in my daily life as this is the place we will be forever. But the awareness of knowing that this can end at any time makes me enjoy, honestly, every coffee I take in the high street, in because maybe I don't see, it's not that I think maybe I don't see this next week or never again, but I have that awareness in me. So that makes me enjoy more every time I go out with my friends from here, or every time I go to, I don't know, to a concert at school for the kids, because I know this will end. It's not something that I take for granted that will be forever. And I normally use this analogy as how I see life. Like we know we can just die at any moment. A bus can come and send us home. Um, so if we live with that awareness, but at the same time we live as if we will never die, it gives you like a new dimension to your days, because you don't take for granted any day or any experience, and you enjoy them as if you will never get the opportunity of seeing that again. Or every time you go to the beach, do you see the ocean, or I don't know, like, or rain, or you smell a flower, or the spring. Now in London, it's beautiful. If you take it for granted, then you know, yeah, but every year is spring and da da da, and you don't see the magic, and you don't see that maybe next year you're not here. It's difficult to enjoy it if you don't have that awareness of it can end at any time. It's not thinking that you can die, or that you can get fired at any time, is having the awareness that this is not forever.
mm,
This is not permanent. This has an end.
yeah,
And we need to be aware of this, because we would stop wasting moments by chasing or escaping from things. We would say, okay, it's over. I'm not chasing anymore. I'm not escaping anymore. Let me live day by day and enjoy day by day, because I never know when it's going to be the last day.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the analogy I see with life.
To
Mm.
really allow ourselves to experience life rather than resisting it. I've got a couple of last questions for you. So the first one feels a little bit cliche to ask you this. However, I'm going to ask it anyway. You and your husband would be considered celebrities. I'm kind of wondering what might surprise people if they got to hang out with you and see behind the curtain. What might surprise people about you?
I can say that we are normal. Mm, yeah, and I got told that many times. Oh, you're normal. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are normal. That and maybe that we have a joy for life and a passion for life, and we love being with people and sharing and learning and expressing, and we are really, like, in Spanish we say disfrutones, which in English it would be people that enjoy, but it's
Mhm.
not the same, but it's like we enjoy from a walk in the park, or I don't know, or a super luxurious party, whatever, with cameras and limelight. Like we really enjoy experiences, and we try to make the most of every moment we are together, or every moment we we have beautiful opportunities. We see everything as beautiful opportunity. Like we are kind of that way, and it's good that we
Mm.
are similar in that
Yeah.
way. Him in his things and me in my things, because I have nothing to do with football or competition. I'm the less competitive person you can ever meet. And he's the opposite. But the main vision of life and of what is important to us is similar and is the same.
Yeah. I'll often suggest that I'll often suggest that joy is life's greatest lubricant in all aspects of life. It can help us. Um, so finally, my favorite question actually to ask parents is this. Actually, I'm gonna turn this into two questions. So the question is, what would you like your children to learn about life from how you're living yours? But also, what are you learning from your children?
Um, what I would like them to learn about life is that they need to discover their essence and live with that freedom of being themselves. That is what I want from them. I detached from expectations. I detached from wanting them to obey rules or being in a certain way. I do teach them, listen, this is where we are, and these are the rules. We need to follow them, but that doesn't mean that you need to become something, or just there are some agreements in society that you need to follow, and that is what it is. um, but being yourself. And what I learned from them is actually that same thing, because when they are children, they live from their essence. And to witness that with my kids, and to witness myself saying, don't scream, or of joy or singing or whatever, don't scream because you're gonna, I don't know, it's late. Or my son, he likes to go to the couch and sit, but instead of going around the couch, he jumps over the couch and sit in the couch, for example. And so observing myself, telling him, do not jump over it, go around, and then questioning myself, why? Why I don't let him jump over? He's not bothering anyone because it's just us at home. He's not damaging the sofa. He's not going to hurt himself. Why do I need him to go around and I don't allow him to just do that expression of activity or energy in his body? So all that, I experience it every single day, and I love it. It's fascinating how you can learn from yourself and from your uh, learned lessons that are completely nonsense. And the ones that have sense, but the ones that have no sense at all, and how we can little by little not damage them, but disconnect them from, like, if you have, I don't know, an energetic child, like one of my child, I mean, the three are energetic, but one is especially energetic. Why I don't allow him to just express his energy, right? Why does he, obviously, when he's with people, he needs to learn how to sit or whatever, because there are some, as I said, some rules in society you need to follow. But in the other moments, just let them be. And for me, it's a learning process every day. every day. And when they are babies is one learning, when they are toddlers is another learning, then they are kids, and then teenagers, which is the next level of learning from them. But I have to say that my mindset is more about learning from them than teaching them. Um, because I am fascinated by teenagers, by children, not only by my children, but I love working as a coach as well with children, and with parents for them to allow the children to just recognize who they are and accept and embrace who they are and bring their talent and their passions to the world.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think children and dogs make the best coaches.
Yes.
Lorena, thank you so much for your time here today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. What I get about you, and I got that from your book, indeed, is that extraordinary ordinariness, normal, as you described in your response to an earlier question. There's a beautiful realness and warmth and compassion about you, and that comes through in your book. So yeah, I'm excited as well that you have this book out into the world, and people can have an experience of you. And I'll include links in the show notes if anybody wants to reach out and connect with you, see what you're up to. So thank you so much,
Thank
Lorena.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the book, and I'm glad you had me here today trying to share my message with as many people as I can. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Really.